This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for May 2nd, 2022. My name is Vern Carlson, and I'm the chairman of the commission. We have, well, a short agenda tonight than it appears to be in any event. There have been some changes. But before we get to that, just let me introduce the staff to you and the commission. We'll get to that. Over to my right is Andy Kalakba. He is our town engineer. Alan Fredrickson, he is our land use administrator. Pam Miller is our clerk. And tonight we have Jennifer Capola joining us. And we also have Tanya as our court secretary. Okay, with that, Jim?
I'm Jim Giletti, regular member.
Teresa Ranciato Veely, secretary.
Paul Wyman, regular member.
And we have Rod Williams.
With us remotely.
Here, he's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will be, Rod will be sitting in place of
Brian.
Well, Brian.
Brian Cummings. Yeah, Brian, he'll be sitting in place of Brian Cummings tonight. Okay, with that, first off, we have an agenda that's been changed around somewhat. So first off, let me get to Alan to give us the changes on the agenda.
Yes, we have a few things that have fallen off the agenda tonight. Item number 3, P2208S, and item number 10, P2208, is the Slate School. They were unable to achieve an Inland Wetlands Commission approval on Wednesday due to a lack of a quorum, so they are off the agenda this evening. So that concerns 91 and 103 Kings Highway, 124 Mansfield Road. Both those applications are off the agenda. P2203 and P2203A are off the agenda. That is for 395 State Street. Also P2204, 48 Giles Avenue, that is off the agenda. And P2206, which is 92 State Street, 92, 90, and 84 State Street. All those are off the agenda.
Okay, so it's been shortened considerably. We do have 2 public hearings. So if anybody is here for the ones that are not going to be heard tonight, there was only one that public would be in on, and that was the Slate School. The other ones we're going to be hearing those on the accessory apartments. The rest of them were all site plans, which would be no public input, and the rest of the agenda, there is no public hearing. It's all site work. So if there's anybody here for those things that we're not going to be hearing, we're not going to be listening to any of the public input at all. Okay. With that, Teresa?
Hey, Vern. Public hearing 1. A public hearing and possible action on, including an opt-out from, provisions of Public Act number 21-29, an act concerning the Zoning Enabling Act, accessory apartments, training for certain land use officials, municipal affordable housing plans, and a commission on Connecticut's development and future, which is codified at Connecticut General Statute Section 8-20, pertaining to accessory apartments or accessory dwelling units. A copy of this public act has been posted in the town clerk's office and is available on the Planning and Zoning Commission's page at the town website.
Okay.
I'm not going to do them both at the same time.
Just exactly, Alan, how do we, bring this in? Just explain this, to the public?
Well, the state legislature passed this particular act, number 21-29. There is an opt-out provision. At the last meeting, the commission had determined that they would like to consider the opt-out, and town council, Jennifer Coppola, developed these two items, on 1 and 2, to have a public hearing on the opt-out provision, and that's where we are at this point. Would you like to hear from Jennifer and maybe have some discussion with the commission first? Or-
I thought we already did.
You did.
Yeah. Okay, we can go, we want to go directly to the public?
I would.
Okay, I mean, is that good with you, Paul?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yeah, yeah.
Rod?
Public.
We'll go directly to the public, is that good with you? Okay, good enough. Okay, so you will go right directly to the public who wants to speak in regards to the accessory building. Does anybody would like to stand up and speak? Rich?
Hello, my name is Rick Bassett. I live on Victor Road in North Haven. I stand before you tonight to voice my opposition of the town of North Haven trying to opt out of Public Act 21-29 for accessory apartments. The town, in my opinion, the town has no valid reason whatsoever to opt out of this statute. Public Act 2129 was put in place to help alleviate the acute shortage of housing in Connecticut. Not just affordable housing, but all housing. North Haven, of course, has an acute shortage of housing, especially affordable housing. My wife and I know firsthand, as we manage several dozen rental properties in North Haven, and on rare occasion, some people actually leave those rental properties, and when the vacancy occurs, we receive well over 100 inquiries for every one of them. That's not just in the crazy housing times we're in now, but this has been going on for years. The state of Connecticut recognized that overly restrictive zoning regulations in most of Connecticut, they recognized overly restrictive zoning regs in most of Connecticut's cities and towns unfairly prohibit property owners from taking advantage of the highest and best use of their properties. Public Act 2129 allows North Haven property owners the ability to convert sheds into accessory apartments, convert garages into accessory apartments, convert spaces over garages into accessory apartments, which is something that a lot of towns around us already do, install and build granny pods in backyards, which some towns already do, all without the expensive infrastructure investments for hookups typically required in new construction, by allowing property owners to leverage their existing electrical, plumbing, water, sewage lines already coming onto their properties. Anyone who's ever tried to get a building permit knows how difficult it is to navigate the complex rules and the regs that are out there. Trying to figure out what size something could be, what the lot could be, what the setbacks could be, practically requires a PhD in calculus to be able to figure it out. Property owners in North Haven and around the state of Connecticut have been afforded the opportunity to eliminate some of these restrictions under Public Act 2129. The new legal statute, which is currently in place because we haven't opted out, even though our zoning department has been rejecting all applications for accessory apartments up to now. Again, the town, in my opinion, has no valid reason whatsoever to opt out of this statute. Most cities and towns are not opting out of this statute. Public Act 2129 greatly benefits our property owners by letting them use their property to the highest and best use possible. Provides family members, such as elderly parents and debt-strapped recent college grads of property owners, with the opportunity to have convenient places to live, but being close to their family. Provides renters with more rental units and affordable places to live. Gives the building department more permit fees. and provides the town with increased taxes, as these small accessory unit apartments will contribute to our grand list. They are not free. All of this without substantially increasing the services or costs to our town or our schools, which is usually one of the reasons why we have restrictive zoning regs. I urge this commission not to opt out of PA 2129. I urge our selectmen not to opt out of 2129. Instead, let's seize on this opportunity to do something good for the property owners of North Haven, rather than protecting the status quo of our broken zoning regs. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition to this? Yeah, well, wait a minute, Tom, I'm sorry. Let me get the rest of them in favor of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyone else in favor? Anyone,
Back up, Tom.
anyone else in favor of this?
You're in favor of opting out?
Yeah, I was a little unclear on that.
Opposing opting out or in favor of opting out?
In-
Yeah, you're right.
Opposed to opting out.
Against.
Are you opposed to, okay, then your turn will be coming next. Come on, Tom.
Mr. Chairman, again, I think you just need to, excuse me, Mr. Roy. I think that you need to just clarify for the record, so Tony, you're picking me up, right? Okay. You need to clarify that the last speaker is in favor of not opting out. So is in favor of the legislation, now the statute, to allow accessory apartments. And now you're calling, because there's nobody else in the public who's indicated that they have comments again in favor of the legislation, you're calling for people who are in favor of opting out, opposed to the
That's
legislation.
correct. Thank you, gentlemen.
Tom White, Summer Lane. For the Apartment Accessory Act, my wife and I would ask the commission to vote to opt out of this legislation because it is contrary to our zoning regulations. It would destroy the character of the residential zone, and the town would receive no credit for the accessory apartments toward the town's affordable housing goals and requirements. For the Parking Limits Act, my wife and I would ask the commission to vote to opt out of this legislation because it is contrary to our zoning regulations, and it would create public health and safety hazards because emergency vehicles such as large fire trucks would be prevented from passing on roads where vehicles would be parked on both sides of the street due to the reduction in parking space requirements. I believe that you should have continue with the ability to address these applications on a case-by-case basis rather than be forced by any kind of a public act. That you can evaluate anything. It's not that we're totally opposed to something like this, an accessory dwelling, but it should be something that's evaluated before it's approved.
Okay. Okay, Tom, thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Good evening, Planning and Zoning Commission members. Today I studied this, this new...
Joe, do you just give your name?
Oh, excuse me, Joseph DiMartino, Papa Lane. Now, I went over the Public Act 2129 today, and as I understand it, unfortunately, what Tom said about the character, that word cannot even be used to opt out. It has to do with physical siting. So character of the town, conserving the value of buildings, all that has been eliminated by this new law. And if you were to vote to opt out tonight, you need 2/3 of the members. And then we have to have a town meeting. And we have to have 2/3 of the town meeting vote to go along with the opt-out. So they haven't made it easy. I'm in favor of opting out, but desegregate Connecticut hasn't made it easy. Now, let there be no doubt about it, the first speaker, just like the March 7th meeting, the only people who spoke in favor of dispensaries, marijuana dispensaries, had a fiscal interest. And that first speaker, he has a financial interest. So I think that you should put a lot of that into consideration of his remarks as he manages property in town, and he would tend to benefit if we didn't opt out. Now, this law 2129 will also allow trailers. If you read it closely, trailers will be allowed as long as they're 22 feet wide. Well, we also have to opt out of the parking regulations. So now this new law has overridden our parking regulations. And we can only have, you can't designate less parking than the law says. So you have to, by the same two-thirds vote, we have to opt out of the parking. Now, this will also prohibit a fixed percentage cap on housing over 4 units. Also, we're not going to be able to use any of this if we let this come into town. You're not going to be able to use any of it as counting against affordable housing. The homeowner who does this would have to agree to a 10-year deed restriction in order for this to count as affordable housing. So none of this stock, unless you have a homeowner that's going to agree to it, none of this new stock will probably count against our affordable housing 10%, or for our affordable housing. The only thing this is going to benefit is developers. Now, I read an article today by a lawyer in Hartford, and he, written last summer after the law passed, this lawyer was raving that now apartments will be able to represent developers, which he said he was in numerous towns. Now, lots of towns are considering opting out of this already. Montville, Wilton, Kent, Roxbury, Westport, Easton, Oxford, Rocky Hill, Cheshire, Enfield, and Darien. Lots of towns are considering opting out. So I would ask that at some point we go along with the opt-out and try to keep it out of this town. Now, make no doubt about it, Desegregate Connecticut, that organization of Desegregate Connecticut is our enemy. They hate the suburbs. I've been reading the New Haven Register since I was a kid. I still continue to read it, even if I disagree with a lot of the stuff that's in the columns. If you read their editor in charge, Hugh Bailey, he attacks the suburbs like at least once every couple of weeks. The suburbs are responsible for the ills of society. And that's what Desegregate Connecticut has pushed this law, and only because it's an election year, wait till next year, they're going to make this 2139 law, they're going to try to make it even tougher on us. The fair housing, I don't think got too far this year in the legislature. Fair housing wants to force low-income housing on us. And that's what some of this will do. It'll force, in some of the passages of the law, they talk about how you cannot discriminate even against low-income housing. So that's what these people are trying to do. They're trying to shove low-income housing down our throats. So let's try to opt out of this. If we don't get the votes at the town meeting, then at least we tried. I do want to address one more thing. During the March 7th meeting, while I was less than 2.5 minutes into a 5-minute time allowance and nearing completion of my remarks, a member of the commission rudely and belligerently interrupted my presentation, yelling out, "I heard enough." I don't know what prompted this reaction. Was it intolerance to a point of view different from that member? I believe this behavior to be inappropriate, extremely unprofessional, and shows a lack of respect to public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor of opting out? No one else would like to speak in opting out of the accessory apartment? Okay, you're okay with that?
Just ask if anybody wants to talk about the accessory at all. No?
Oh, okay, I'm
It's
sorry.
only for the record, so March Quinn, Juniper Drive, North Haven. So I vote for opting out of this. It's a
Marge Quinn,
ridiculous thing. March
Juniper
Quinn,
Drive.
Juniper Drive. Against, totally against it. A resounding no, for the record, or just for the record. I agree with both gentlemen.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, wait. Do I need to close that part of this public hearing, Jennifer? This first part?
Hard time hearing you.
That's all right. He asked if we should close that public hearing.
So, do you have any questions about some of the comments that were made, because they weren't correct about the
No.
procedure? Again, just for the public's benefit, it's a 2/3 majority of the commission that has to vote to opt out. And then it goes to the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
Because in the statutory language provides in a town meeting form of government, it goes to the Board of Selectmen. So
So
it's
to
not going
clarify,
to,
it does not go to town meeting.
it does not go to
Right,
town
neither
meeting.
does the next one we're hearing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
But do you have any questions with regard to content or the suggestion that was given to you at the end of this section in terms of potential reasons for opting out? I mean, obviously, in looking at the individual provisions, they may in and of themselves, as I indicated to you, they may in and of themselves be a reason to opt out, but staff and I did discuss it and provided you with that language as you requested. So,
I'm all
Thank
set.
you.
thank
Yeah,
you.
we're all
I'm
set with
also-
that. Do I need to close this portion of it, Jennifer? And before I go on to the parking?
If no one has any further questions?
Yes.
Or comments from the public or
Good.
on the commission?
Okay, the public's done. Public, is anyone here have any further conversation in respect to this before I close this public hearing? Alan?
No.
No.
All right, this portion of this is closed.
Okay.
Jennifer? Jen.
Teresa, the second public hearing. A public hearing and possible action on, including an opt-out from provisions of Public Act number 21-29, an act concerning the Zoning Enabling Act, accessory apartments, training for Connecticut's development and future, codified at Connecticut General Statutes, Section 8-2, D, 9, and 8-2P, pertaining to parking. A copy of said public act is posted in the town clerk's office and available on the town website.
Okay, Commission, talk about it, you want to go right to the public?
I would go right to the public. Again, we've seen the
Right to
statute,
the
but
public.
we've
And two
talked about it.
members-
I don't have any
Okay.
particular issue about it.
And some members of the public already spoke to this, two of them.
They did, yes. Now, this portion of it is the parking part, which some of you did also, Joe did speak and Tom did speak to. But does anybody else want to speak in regards to the parking? In favor of it, or apt out of it, or not apt out of it, either way you want to go. But I say, is there anybody here that wants to make a comment on the parking? Commission?
No, I'm
No?
ready to discuss it in deliberations.
Right, we'll deliberate.
No, I guess we should maybe note that Tom White and Joe DiMartino did address it and put their comments forward for both, okay?
Well,
Right.
I said that, but I
Yep.
okay, good enough. We're gonna close this public hearing. Close. This portion is over. We're gonna move on to site plan, which is, yeah. 2205, that's Second Point Road?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, John, you can read it.
Okay. John Zerlis, 222-05, site plan application of John Zerlis, agent for Kirstein LLC, applicant Kirstein LLC owner, relative to 85 Sack Point Road, map 37, lot 126. Plan entitled Warehouse-2 Development, 85 Sack Point Road, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by TPA Design Group, dated 3/18/22, revised for 7/22, scale 1 inch equals 20 feet, IL 80 and IG 80 zoning districts.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. I don't see I'm going to shave.
Hey, John.
John, she needs
This
one.
is
Here,
really
never mind. Here.
just a
I'll share
colorized
that.
version of what you had submitted, correct?
Exactly.
So we don't need to mark this as an exhibit, but it's just helpful to have one.
Yeah, she just want to look quick.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
just, instead of unfolding the large sheet.
Yeah, that's great.
just-
Thank you.
It's easier to explain.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir, you need to be on the mic. Thank you so much.
Sure. This one? Good evening. My name is John Zerlis. I'm with TPA Design Group.
You have to speak up, John.
Yeah, these mics don't broadcast, right?
Members of the public, please, I'm sorry, because they need to hear. If you could just go outside and have a conversation. Thank you.
Okay. Again, John Zerlis with TPA Design Group here representing Kirsten on the application which you have before you. Our application this evening is to add 6 parking spaces to the, on top of existing pavement. That's to allow the current tenant to park vehicles that do not fit into the building, to park those outside. Once they are parked outside, according to your regulations, that gets considered as outdoor storage, which during our previous approvals for the project was not granted.
Right.
So in order to accommodate the current tenant, we are requesting the addition of 6 additional spaces outside. If you'll note, there are also oversized parking spaces of 10 foot wide by 22 feet deep, which is the size that is needed by the tenant. And along with that, and per comments from land use, that we would request that the site be modified, or the written description of outdoor storage be changed to from no outdoor storage to limitation of outdoor storage on only those 6 parking spaces.
Let me understand, John, because when you say on only those 6 storage spaces, only for vehicles, we're not going to be storing other debris or stacking wood or,
This is
so if
strictly for
it was acceptable to everybody, all you're looking for is the ability to have 6 vehicles, operating vehicles allowed to be on the site. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
The terminology of stockpiles of material or anything else, that still holds.
Right, we don't want, okay.
That's correct.
John, is there gonna be, are they gonna keep the trailers outside? At presently, I've been by there several times, and I see the trucks in there, and I see the trailers and the chippers on them.
That's
And the
correct.
rollers and everything else that they brought in there with that, on the trailers.
Right.
Also,
Those are-
in
Those
addition,
will be limited to those 6 spaces or inside the building.
there's gonna be nothing but the trucks outside.
That's correct.
No trailers, no chippers, no
There
nothing.
may be a chipper, but that, again, is designated within those, the new spaces that we're indicating on the plan. It's not to be put off to the side somewhere, or limited to that one area.
Well, that's why I asked if there were vehicles. I don't know, a chipper is not a vehicle, right? I mean, is a chipper attached to a truck? I don't know.
Well, this is kind of what I was getting at with
Well, that's why I asked. I thought he just wanted 6 vehicles. Now, it doesn't sound like you just want vehicles. You want 6 spaces to put what you want in there. That's different, right?
Vehicles only, and whether you consider a chipper a vehicle or not.
Well, can you drive it?
It's got wheels.
No, I know, but does it have an operating mechanism?
No.
Excuse me, just a comment. I looked at the site as well, and they have them on trailer. It's a trailer. So my question is, will the truck and the trailer fit within that 22 feet?
According to the tenant, yes.
Okay.
So it would
I
be
didn't see that.
I did not see that.
a trailer with a chipper on it, or a trailer.
The trailers,
chipper to be driven
some of the
by-
trailers are 21 feet, so
Yeah.
that's it's going to be hanging out outside the parking spot, and from what I see.
I'm only going by what I was, informed by the tenant that
Yeah.
10 by 22 would fit his requirements.
Well, I mean,
This is-
not what you're asking for, but what has been there last week and the prior week is not there. It was trucks behind the building, alongside the building, with the chippers and the trailers and the rollers and
Is this
some
overnight,
wood
Vern?
debris.
Overnight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were coming in as I just happened to be going by, John, at about 5 o'clock, 4:45, and they were rolling in there, so I took a ride in, and here's what was happening. So I went back and checked it again, and of course, they were there, and then they had the pickup trucks on the other side in front of the building.
That very well be, I can't answer that because I personally haven't been out to the site since.
I'm sure you
But I
have.
understand where you're coming from, and we'll have to have the property owner talk to his tenant and get that taken care of, so that
Well, but
so that
then-
there isn't.
Yeah. But maybe the property owner should come, because what they're saying is what's there is different than what you're asking for, and we don't want to approve it and then have something different going on.
Right.
So maybe it makes sense to either find out what they're talking about, because I agree with them. Like, we were pretty specific, we didn't want outside storage. I'm not opposed to you having 6 vehicles in the 6 spaces. That's not what I'm feeling from other people too.
Right.
But that's not what's happening. So kind of disturbing to ask us to approve it with, that's not what's going on. So maybe we could get some input from the owner or the tenant or whatever, that what they're gonna do and what's gonna happen is stuff is gonna be in those 6 spaces.
I can certainly convey that to the owner.
I mean, that's just my point of view. I don't know. What do you?
Yeah, I agree with you, Jim. I think they should come back and explain exactly what they are gonna do. Because what you're asking for is not what's there.
Right.
Okay.
So
And
you
part
want to
of the
continue that?
problem, initially, when it came in for the site plan approval, there was no request for outdoor
No.
storage.
Well, we talked about it and said no.
Yeah, they said no.
On
And,
the initial application, oh, yes, I agree.
yeah,
Well, this was directly
I think
across the
Mr.
street from residential.
Right.
The owner
Correct.
said, I don't need it or whatever, so that's what alarms me about this one.
Right.
So, you know, I understand you're following orders, you've been asked to get approval for 6 spaces,
Yeah.
that's good, you might be able to get that.
Right.
But is that gonna do it?
I won't say controversy because that's not the proper term, but the question came up, and you and I have discussed this before, as when is a vehicle outdoor storage?
Yes.
But John, it's more
When
than
it stays
that.
overnight.
He's saying there's stuff all over the place, not just in where these 6 things are. And there's vehicles in the back, and there's a chipper off to the side, and so it's not what is being proposed here. So, you know, it's, difficult for us to sit there and say, okay, you're okay to do this, but you're already
Yeah.
storing stuff with no permit to do it.
Sure.
Not you, obviously.
No, I understand that. My only question would be, how does one enforce that?
Well, okay, we can, if we can have them go and say, we're gonna pull your, your permit for your site, right? And then we're gonna, I agree with you, and we've talked about that, and we gotta get through it, where a zoning enforcement officer doesn't have the teeth she needs to have.
Right.
But it's really bad to start out in violation, and that's kind of where we are. There's no outside storage allowed, and yet they're storing stuff outside.
So perhaps the owner comes back next month and talks to us?
And one of the concerns I have is that it's only 22 feet long, and I think these are 30 feet. So that change would have to be made, so we're really looking at what we need to look at, and as far as the parking spot.
For sure.
Right.
I mean, it's just.
If you're gonna pull a truck in with a trailer on it, then it needs to be that
Sure.
that size.
Trust me, I have no problem.
Okay.
Can I just one thing? Just, John, in terms of the location of the parking, I mean, that large sea of asphalt that's, kind of to the east of the building, that was there for circulation. That was there so vehicles could come in and have plenty of room to maneuver and turn around.
Right.
By putting these parking spaces in there, that goes away, and that was one of my big concerns. And coupled with that, the area that's beyond those parking spaces, to me, becomes a prime spot to store whatever you want to store.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a sea of asphalt. They're going to look at that and say, hey, yeah, put it over on the asphalt over the corner there, you know? That's my concern. I mean, is there any way that this parking can be oriented and maybe follow that curb line along the back so that you still have that circulation on the site? Or
Well, it's still not.
lop off that asphalt to the backside, take it out altogether, so it doesn't become an enticement for somebody to park stuff.
Residential.
If I can give you just a little history on that. When this was first proposed in our first application, this was supposed to be a storage warehouse. And
Right.
you'll note that on the right-hand side of the building, there's a large overhead door. And that was to allow tractor trailers to come in and back into and unload into the warehouse. COVID changed everything. And so now there's a different tenant in there. Well, and once everything was paved, and even unless there is cars parked there or vehicles parked there, to put it this way, if there's no vehicles there, you still bring that door will be staying there, and you can still bring that tractor trailer in and give it the maneuverability to access that door. So
Assuming that all the trucks are out there.
but I understand where you're saying that, yes, that's a spot to store materials.
That's my concern. You know, you got a nice
Right.
beautiful asphalt
I saw
spot.
that in your comment, sure.
So, just something to consider when you come back.
Right.
Okay, John?
So, okay,
You
so
wanna
I
continue?
will pass that on to the,
Okay, you want to continue this?
up here, or the property owner,
Oh,
the
no.
commission.
Well,
Both of them, maybe.
Whatever, whoever's doing it.
Both might be very helpful.
Yeah.
I get it, but
Never been here.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
See you
John.
next
All right,
month.
fine, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. That might go up.
Okay. Number 9, P22-07, site plan application of the North Haven Fair Association, Inc., applicant and owner relative to 290 Washington Avenue, map 80, lots 12, 13, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Plan entitled Existing Conditions Properties located at Washington Avenue and Fair Lawn Drive, North Haven, Connecticut. Prepared by Criscolo Engineering LLC, dated 10/19/2011. Revised 4/5/22, scale 1 inch equals 50 feet. CB 40 and R12 zoning districts.
Oh, Gene?
questions.
Sure. Hi, Jean Lewis with the North Haven Fair Association, and the proposal we're putting forward is to enlarge the current, as we call it, the chowder pot that abuts the pavilion from an existing size right now of 16 by 16 feet to 16 by 26 with a second story added onto the top of that with an exterior staircase.
Okay.
Okay.
So the building isn't going to move, it's just going to
Get
be
bigger.
enlarged.
What's going to go on, what's the second floor for?
Storage.
What-
Storage,
What-
paper goods, so that we don't have any facilities on the
I got it.
fairgrounds that are critter-free.
Okay. Thank you for the sidewalk, by the way.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Only took 11 years.
But it's done.
But it's done.
Nice, yes.
Yep. I mean, you're staying right within the footprint that you're taking out there?
So we'll stay within in the footprint and then enlarge 10 feet to the west.
Yeah,
So it'll be a bigger structure than's currently there.
I'm good.
Yeah,
Lisa?
no, I'm fine with this.
Good, good.
I have no questions, thanks.
So the second part of that application was to move what we call the scale house that has the scales where the horses and the oxen are weighed, and just move that further into the interior of the fairgrounds. I think they were both in the same application.
Wait, where's that?
So where
Yeah, I
the
didn't get
old,
that one at all.
where
No,
the
no, he wants
oxbow
you to
area
show him on
is.
the plan if you can,
Oh,
no, you don't know.
it's right when you come in
Andy saw it?
the driveway
Oh, yeah.
by the orange gate. And it's just gonna move closer to building number 6, to the sheep shed.
It's in that back area,
Correct.
right, near Fair Lawn.
No, not near Fair Lawn.
Near the other side?
Yep.
Okay.
Where it says animal pens? Is that
Closer
what-
to the animal pens, correct.
Okay.
Questions?
Yeah, I
Nope.
don't have any questions.
No
Good.
questions on that, no?
Okay.
Rod?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
He sees it.
Okay, thanks, Rod.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last one we have State Street. That's off, isn't it? Is it
No,
346 State Street off?
346, the last one, that's on.
That's
The
on, right?
one State Street application is off for 92, 90, and 84.
But the other one's on.
346 State is on, that's the
It's
last.
still on.
Okay.
Site plan.
That's the 11.
P22-09, site plan application of George Masteronopoulos, applicant, 346 State Street LLC owner, relative to 346 State Street. Map 34, lot 105, plan entitled, site plan of property, 346 State Street LLC, 346 State, Route 5, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by CW International, dated March 3rd, 2020, revised April 7, 2022, scale 1H equals 20 feet, CB 40 and R20 zoning districts.
Okay, gentlemen?
Hello, my name's George Cotter. I'm the engineer for the applicant, CW International, 2091 Highland Avenue, Cheshire. We have before you the site plan approved in 2020. We're back before the commission for a modification to the site plan by adding 3,400 square feet of paved area in this vicinity. We moved the dumpster, we relocated the dumpster so it now has free access to the dumpster. We've added 2 islands here and here. And the pavement area added is 3,400 square feet. The owner is in need of storage on site for his business, for the restaurant in the front. And he's taken up space in the building addition that he provided. We got approval for it, and he has an access door here where he'll use for storage. The paved area shown around the building still has the retaining wall. It meets the requirements for green space on minimum requirement on the parcel of 10%. We have 17%. The commission in the previous application added significant landscaping to the rear of the property to screen it from the residential area above us. We've added arborvitae along our property line for additional screening from the adjoining parcel. This gives him access to the area for his storage for vehicles to get back there. We've upped the size of the storm drain system that is located in this parking lot. The existing dry well located here, we've enlarged that. The calculations have shown that we'll retain the water on site. We did permeability tests in the area where we have our storm drainage underground system in this area. And this provides a better use for the property for him to maintain his business on site. If the commission has any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer them.
Teresa?
No, I was just going to ask Andy, so your comments here, they've been addressed?
Well, I wanted to ask about the paving around the building. And, I mean, I'm always looking for any opportunity I can to eliminate impervious areas. What is that going to be specifically used for?
It's going to be access to the rear of the building for his storage. So it's I've provided access from both sides that he can get vehicles around it and back to that southeast corner of the building. And that's pretty much where he needs storage for his business. And it gives us a little more space available. It also cleans up the dumpster that was located in the corner that was blocked in by existing parking spaces. So we now have free access to it on the southern border. And we've added a couple of islands to that, and also provided a power pole that will connect back here for power to the back of the building, which just come to notice from the power company.
Is there ample room to make those turns?
Yes.
There is.
Yeah, it's not, you're not going to be bringing trailer trucks back there, but it's for smaller vehicles to offload, into the storage. There's an overhead door now located here, and it'll allow them to use that space to get back there.
And there is enough room there, huh?
Yeah.
I have the same question,
It looked very
actually.
small
Can
to
you
me.
show me, because this says it's to permit vehicular circulation around the entirety of the rear of the building, at least that's Alan's comment. Show me how somebody's going to come off the street, and, because it's very tight going back there, so how is this going to make things better?
Well, before we get into that, George, the intent really is that's a service driveway, it's not.
Yes. Right. It's
So
not
it would be for the owner to back his truck in, unload, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, if that's the case, then signs, a chain or something to keep the public out of that area altogether would go a long way to, alleviating some life here. Maybe a couple of bollards at the corner of the building just to protect the building itself from getting swiped, but.
So-
Sorry, Jim, I didn't.
No, that's quite all right, because you're helping me, because I didn't understand, this is a separate driveway for the driveway the public is using?
Yeah,
You said
there
a
should be no
service
reason the
drive.
public should be back there for anything.
Right.
Jim, I think that from the...
So show me on that map, if you would, like somebody's coming off of State Street and going to the back of the building, whether it's service or not, how do they do it on that?
If they were coming off of State
Yeah,
Street,
right,
they could either pull in and back out, or they come around here and back in
I
to
got it,
that area.
okay.
Or they have access in this side,
So-
come right around the building and out.
so that top one that you just did, that's what you're talking is the service driveway?
This is a service driveway, and this is now a service driveway. The previous dumpster
I didn't know you could
containment
go all the
area
way
was
back there.
located here, blocked in by these two. We've been able to relocate that so that it now has access, free access to that. But his storage for this business is going to be back
Okay,
here.
but so the restaurant, nothing is really effectively changing at all, is what it is?
No.
Because that's what I was saying is very tight, and I didn't,
Correct.
but you're saying they can do it back there. Okay.
Just for the new building.
But we're not gonna have signs or try to get people to really pull in and come all the way around. We
No,
don't
no, no,
really
The general
want that.
public, we're looking to avoid getting the
Right,
general
yeah,
public. Matter of
yeah.
fact, I agree
There
with
would
you.
be-
right.
Yeah, so just some things, some signs,
Yeah.
some,
Okay.
you know, chain, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm Bob Calderall, I'm the general contractor for the
Okay.
owner. But yes, you're 100% right. We're
Even
trying
about
No, I
the
to
couldn't-
timber.
avoid it.
That's what I didn't understand. Got it.
That was in
Yeah,
our
you
mind
take-
when we had the original site
Take a look at
plan.
some balance here.
We decided against it, but then when he needed this part of the building, that's why we're bringing it
Yeah.
back up today.
Does it make it all right?
What?
Look,
Does it make it?
bollards.
Yeah, there's just
Well,
always
it's
a
not for
lot of
public use,
activity
so-
with the
Well,
gym
what
and
about the
everything.
front
You
door?
you got too many people talking at once, you can't get everybody?
Yeah, Jim. Is that for the public, the one closest to State Street? No?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the one that
no.
goes around the building.
Yeah,
All
right.
I'm talking about is the little L that runs around the building addition. In the very, very back. That's the service area.
I'm talking about the one that's going right there. Is that gonna be open right there behind, right where your hand is?
Yes, sir.
Right, is that gonna be open for State Street Cafe to use that for in and out for the
Yes.
cafe?
Yes, they
That
use
is,
that for parking spaces
They
right
have a
now
right
for
of
the,
access over this area to come in and out, so they have free flow around.
okay, right,
yeah.
all right. If it works,
It actually does somewhat help bring the site into more conformity in terms of that dumpster. You guys have long honored, he's been in a couple of times, George has, you know, to update the site and to add on little small additions, but it would, you guys always honored the location of the dumpster before it was existing, but this would clear that up and put it in a better spot, for what it's worth.
Teresa?
No, I don't have any more questions.
I'm good.
Oh,
I'm good.
Ron,
Yeah, I have a question.
go ahead.
So I understand the area that we're talking about, the L shape. I think that's the area that Andy in his report talked about, maybe that it proposes a lawn and a fire application. I just want to make sure that that doesn't affect the drainage. I don't know if that was what was ultimately approved, but whether we need, the storm drainage is still appropriate, it's just going to be paved rather than absorbing.
Andy indicates it does.
Yeah, there's storm drainage calculations to account for that, so.
He said he-
Right, thanks.
You good? Okay. Staff?
I
Okay,
have
gentlemen,
nothing more.
Thank you very much for.
Thank you.
your
Thank
you.
attention, guys. Thank you.
okay. Okay, we change the use. Okay. 276 State Street, change of use. Now,
Yeah, he's here.
I don't know if anyone is
He's
here
here?
for that
He's
change of
here,
use.
yes, yes.
Why don't you step forward, please?
How you doing?
Name and address.
Angelo Graziano, 276 State Street, on behalf of Blur LLC, Blur Barbershop. So I took the unit over next to me, which the addresses are all funky, but the unit directly next to me is now connected, so there's a specific room in there, it's 96 square feet, I believe I put, that I wanted to change to office use / medical use for a chiropractor, and that's why I'm here today.
what exactly is in there, you have in there now?
What's that?
What do you have there now?
So it's the same thing, you just service for, it's a barber shop, so we're gonna do services like that. It was a nail salon.
All right.
And we're gonna continue to do the nails and the hair, but just that one space for, chiropractic.
So the part of your nail salon is gonna have a chiropractor in it?
Yeah, for men. It's
For
like
men?
the idea is like a man spa,
Huh.
where men can go, feel less intimidated to, get those services done that secretly we all enjoy. Or maybe you don't even know you enjoy it yet.
Yeah. Different?
That's where I'm at.
So he's doing the opposite of what he did when he came in. He converted office to service, and then he's going back the other way.
Wish
I got no problem with it. It's great, good for you.
Yeah, thank you. That was almost 3 years ago now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Check and see if Rod has any questions.
Rod, any questions?
Okay, the State Street,
1872.
1872, isn't it, State Street?
Hartford Turnpike.
Hartford Turnpike, Allen?
You have
No,
a persistent
something's here.
here. Yeah.
Jessica.
Hi, my name is Jessica Freire, and I tried to open the store in 1872 Hartford Turnpike. It's just retailing store for printing stuff, like the t-shirts, business card, flyers, all kind of stuff for just publicity. And tried to open, and the owner told me I need to come here and receive your approval for opening the store.
Okay, so it used to be a hair salon, and now you want to open a store?
Yes,
Okay.
What kind of store are you actually gonna put there?
retailing. It's just for business card, flyers, print t-shirts, but it's already made and it's just retailing.
It's already made, you're not making anything there, you're just selling it?
That's it.
Okay.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Yes, Freire.
And we didn't really know how to classify it, so she indicated office retail.
Yeah.
It's-
Sounds like retail, but I get it.
Okay.
I don't
Rod,
have
any
anything.
questions?
I hope not. Okay, that being out of the way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, yeah. I'll go back and go into deliberation.
You want to do bonds?
You want to
got
get
one
to
No, that's the one we still
Oh,
haven't,
okay,
we're not
sorry.
there, right?
the deliberation?
I don't know. It's the same bond that's been an issue.
Yeah, what about that bond?
Well, I still don't have no direction from the town attorney. I requested that information, and I don't have any response. As you'll recall, the easement in question was shown on the subdivision map.
Right.
And that's what I was kind of trying to hang my hat on. If we can hang our hat on that, then we're all set. We can release the bond, we're all done. If we can't hang our hat on that, then the applicant's going to have to do some more work to try to figure that out. I mean, my testimony earlier when I first presented on this was that the easement really doesn't have an awful lot of value from my perspective to the town. I don't know what it is that we would do with that. In the event that we were to reconstruct Blue Hills Road, we probably need easements from a whole bunch of properties, and I'm not sure that this really provides us that much more than, than not having an easement. I might need a 25-foot easement in order to do what I need to do on that road. So, I sort of question the value of the easement to begin with and why it was originally required, but it is part of the approval, so that's why we're here.
Can I speak to it? I pulled the decision letter and took a look at that. I'm comfortable with it. I said to you when this was initially before you that the fact that there wasn't a separate instrument, if the plan was actually referenced in the deed, because we've taken that position before, if there's a specific reference in the deed, I mean, the lot was approved pursuant to the plan being approved. So it's part of the application approval. So I am comfortable with you releasing the bond on that basis.
Well, I don't understand.
Because you do have a right to access based upon the fact that it is part of the approval.
Except they didn't give us an easement though, right?
It did not give a formal easement agreement, but on the other hand, there's some statutory law as well as case law that does, if there is an instance where it's needed to support the roadway, and access is needed on that basis. I feel comfortable with the
But
fact that it very specifically in the deed itself, it references the re-subdivision plan. The plan is of record in terms of, the title search showing,
It's not gonna show an easement, though.
well, but it is making, though, the reference to the correct approved plan, which is a recorded plan of record.
So-
And I've had this issue before, and, I can't tell you, I mean, it's not unique to North Haven, and it's even in the circumstance sometimes in other communities I've had where, road deeds have not been recorded, even though, it is of record. If you look at, town council minutes or something like that, it's of record that the road was accepted, but yet, who knows where, the executed deed goes, why does it end up getting recorded? So it's not really, from a municipal standpoint, it's not really an unusual circumstance. And again, in my experience, I had one of these recently, I think I said that to you when this was first raised. When you have a circumstance where you're talking about the road itself, and the easement supporting the functionality of the road, I haven't had the experience where that hasn't been able to be explained to the property, because they're gonna be affected by that if there's an issue. So, I feel comfortable, based upon the fact that it's a very clearly part of the approval. You don't have a circumstance where you have, and sometimes this is true, when you have a Mylar or a plan that's been recorded that's unintelligible in terms of the description of the easement itself. And that's not this circumstance. It's in the key, how it's described in the plan is in the key, and it is identified, as Andy indicated.
So as town attorney, you think that that's your opinion, so.
Well, wait a minute. Does the subdivision require them to give us an easement?
So I did not, that's why I wanted to look at the decision letter. And there is not a specific condition reflected in, that a separate easement, a contract document, an easement agreement.
No, but
be provided.
the subdivision map shows an easement? Something
It
shows
does.
the easement, right?
It does.
And
The
then they didn't give
approved
us the
plan does.
easement.
They didn't
No,
file it.
there's
Why
no
are we
instrument.
letting them, I just don't get what is the reason to let them off the hook?
So the issue is that the property transferred.
Without
And
the developer doing
without
what they
the-
were supposed to
Without the
do?
developer
But it's the
getting
developer's
a
bond,
signed.
right?
I'm sorry?
But it's the developer's bond,
It is the developer's bond, and
the
it's
one
the
who was
same-
supposed to do the easement.
And it's,
I wouldn't let
one
them
of the
off
things
that.
I checked was, is it the original person, had it been assigned out? It has not been assigned out, it's still the original applicant for the bond. Is the individual that is requesting the release of the bond.
I got
And that was, those are the things I wanted to.
No, I get it, and I understand it, I just don't know why we would okay what he did, that's what's going, it's like, I hear you saying we're not likely to use it, but if the time comes that we do need it, we've given it away for nothing, and I just wouldn't do it.
So at your last meeting, I think it was the town engineer's understanding that there had been a conversation between the applicant for the bond and the property owner in question, and that there was cooperation. So.
That was mine too.
no-
Yes, but I'm understanding
What
now,
other
that this
details?
was two properties involved.
Yeah.
And he only has the okay from one of the two.
Okay.
That's clarification from my prior understanding.
Right, so then if we really end up needing it, the town itself is gonna get into an issue between those two property owners, correct? If only one is agreeing to the easement?
Well, I think what we're saying is that the easement's shown on the subdivision map, that it's an implicit easement to begin with. So in other words, those property owners can't fight the fact that there's an easement. There is an easement on their property by virtue of the subdivision.
Yeah.
You wanna hold it? We'll hold it.
I wouldn't do it. I mean, but whatever, we could, there's, as always, there's 5 of us. Whatever you guys all think, I would not release the bond until he solves the problem.
Okay.
That's
Thank
just
you,
me.
Jennifer.
We should talk about it in deliberations, I think, right?
Yep. Okay. I guess we'll go into deliberation. Teresa? Paul?
Okay,
Make a motion?
yeah, I make a motion to go into deliberation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Rod? Aye. Thank you. Aye. Okay, first one is the, in respect to opting out of 21-29 on the accessory housing. Jim?
Yeah, let's make it clear, so that it doesn't look like we just didn't want to hear anything. This came in front of us, I've read the statute, I don't like the statute. I heard what Mr. Bassett's saying, and I've heard all the arguments. There are some places an accessory apartment may be a good idea. It clearly does not help us with the affordable issue specifically by definition in the statute. My personal feeling is if we want to do accessory apartments, we should consider it and develop our own regulation that fits what our needs are. So I am in favor of opting out.
Okay, Teresa?
Okay, if it had helped our affordable issue, I think I'd be sitting in a different place, but it does not. And I clearly see places in town where it would work, but we, as a town, without having our own regulation, cannot have control over it. So my feeling is that we should opt out so we can implement our own regulation. We can work on it, and our the housing group that's studying this also is considering, has brought up the fact that maybe we come up with our own regulation. So I'd like to get more information.
Okay, in favor of opting out?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
And it's also, our current zoning allows for in-law apartments. So I don't think that would help us in that particular case as well.
I think you're right. Thank you, Teresa. Rod?
Thank you. I agree with what Jim and Teresa have stated. I think if there's a place for this in town, it'd be better that we do it under the regulations of work that we create for this town and not have to take wholesale what is the restrictions that are in here. And also the fact that it doesn't help with the affordable housing apartments. That's another reason.
So you need to.
I would be in favor of opting out.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Paul?
Yes, Paul Wyman, I would be in favor of opting out as well, for the same
Okay,
reasons.
For the same reason. And I also feel the same way
Yeah.
as the reasons that,
I mean, so I think, I'd like to just say, I think that we, as a board, are talking about opting out for 4 reasons. One is, the current zoning allows for in-law apartments, so adoption of the new accessory regulation would not serve as a benefit. It's highly unlikely that this will help us with the affordable, reaching the 10% affordable threshold. It really may work in some areas, but not others, so I think it would impact the integrity of some of our neighborhoods. And it also limits us by putting, I think, undue limitations on our Planning and Zoning Commission to act. So I think for those 4 reasons, we should opt out.
good enough. That's very good. We have the motion that you just made. We have a second.
Do we have a second?
No, we don't have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we opt out
Okay, for those reasons.
for those 4 reasons.
Okay, Jim made the motion. Have a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rod? Okay, okay. Okay, we move on to the parking part of this 21-29 parking. We talked about the same thing of opting out of the parking of the public accessory apartment. Jim?
Well, similarly, I'm in favor of opting out of the
Yeah,
parking
same thing.
requirements. Yeah.
Teresa?
I'm in favor of opting out as well. I can give you reasons after we have discussion.
Yep. Rod?
I'm in favor of opting out.
Paul?
I'm in favor of opting out also.
As well as I.
Yeah.
And Teresa?
So we did have discussion about this earlier, months ago, so for these reasons, I think we should opt out as a commission. It conflicts with our existing regulations. In some cases, it conflicts with expert opinion. It has the ability perhaps to impact certain neighborhoods in a negative way. Insufficient parking for residential lots and uses may result in excessive on-street parking, which might be dangerous, especially in areas where we still don't have sidewalks. And it may actually impede emergency services to these areas. So for those reasons, I think we should opt out.
Okay. Jim?
I'll make a motion that we opt out of the Public Act regarding accessory apartments, particularly as it pertains to parking.
Teresa?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That is that. Okay, next one up would be the North Haven Fair.
Sacker Point Road first, right? Oh, no,
No,
that's off.
Sacker Point
You're right,
Road.
you're right, you're right. I'm sorry. Yep.
If you want to maybe just vote that out to continue it.
Okay. We have a motion to continue Sacker Point Road?
Yeah, I make a motion to continue 85 Sacker Point Road to next month.
Second.
Okay, Paul, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Rod? Okay. Okay, now we go to the fair. I think it's pretty much straightforward for the fair. It's just
I'll make a
to,
motion that we approve the, what's it, amendment to their site plan, I guess? For the fairgrounds for both things that they wanted to do.
Yeah, the things that they want to do, they just want to move the pens around and put that addition on.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Jim, you make the motion, second, Teresa?
I will second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rod?
Okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, this will be,
346 State.
yeah, 346 State. 346 State, it's the cafe. Looks like it's okay to me.
Yeah, it looked okay to me too. Andy, did that all that satisfy you? Because I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to see is just restrictions on access around the back of the building. That that be for, for service purposes only and not for the public. So
Okay.
maybe that's signs, I mean, they can propose something, but signs, chain across the driveway, something like that, just to.
So should we put
Yeah, and possibly some bollards to protect that corner of the building. If you back a truck in there, you don't want to clip the corner of the building.
I get it, but unless we specifically say they need bollards, you're not gonna get bollards.
Yeah.
So we want to
Put that in there. Let 'em put it in there.
So where are we saying we want to put bollards?
That'd be the southwest corner of the building, of the proposed addition.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for 346 State Street with the addition of bollards at the southwest corner and signage that would be appropriate to our town engineer.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, okay. Okay, next one up, 85 Sacker Point Road, taking care of that. We have 276 State Street. This is, this is interesting, but I guess,
Or, I make a motion, we approve.
yeah, okay. Jim, you second it?
Yeah, that's fine, I'll
Okay,
second it.
seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Okay. And we have the 1872 Hartford Turnpike. A motion to approve that, what you want to,
I'll make a motion to approve that, real retail.
well,
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rod? Okay. It looks like that takes us down to the bond. We took care of that bond, did we not?
Well, no, we were gonna talk about it,
In
You wanna
deliberation.
leave it alone?
well, that's me, but, you know, I can understand the argument both ways, but I just don't know why we would do it, but if you guys all figure you wanna release the bond, that's fine, I'm not gonna scream about it, but I don't get why we would do it.
Huh?
Wonder what Ron thinks about it.
Rod, what do you think about reducing that bond?
Actually, to be honest, it really bothers me that conditions are set and not followed, and so I would not be in favor of releasing it.
Okay,
So me and him.
Well, no, I mean,
okay, make the motion.
Yeah, we have to actually vote on it.
Was there any other further discussion?
Yeah, there's three
Do we have to
more
vote
of us.
on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I make a motion that we release the bond.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion second, all in favor?
All in favor of not releasing the
Not
bond?
releasing the bond.
Aye.
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 So who had the second, Teresa?
I second it.
Rod made the motion.
Okay, then we have them all except the... Oh, yeah, well, we're gonna discuss that. Yeah, the only thing we got left now is we have the cannabis that we're talking about discussing amongst the commission. Okay, do we have some discussion on this? Jennifer? You have something to say?
I do.
Okay.
I would like to update you,
Yeah.
because you gave me direction at the last meeting, and I just want to clarify something important, because, you know, I hadn't really looked closely at what you had directed me to do, which was to prepare regulation that allows a medicinal dispensary only, right? So I just want to draw to your attention something. At this point, and I've been trying to kind of get an answer, if you will, from the state about this, but the Department of Consumer Protection is not accepting any applications at this time for medical marijuana dispensary facility licenses. And they're doing a new process because remember, one of the new cannabis establishment uses in Rivaca is for a hybrid retailer. So somebody who would sell medicinal as well, as well as recreational. So I thought it was important for you to know that at this moment in time, they are not issuing any licenses for new medicinal dispensaries. Now, the question in my mind is whether or not there's some suggestion in some of the stuff that's out there that they are going to eventually begin, specifically, there's something on their page that says, under medical marijuana dispensary facilities license, that the department will be providing more information on the process of opening either a medical marijuana dispensary facility or a medical marijuana production facility in the near future. And then it gives a reference to their former RFA process. So, I thought it was important for you to know that that type of license, there's no schedule for issuing new licenses. And some of the medicinal dispensaries, some of them are going to be hybrid. I know that Ray Pantalina, who was before you from Affinity Health and Wellness, I think he's intending, if he's able to get the license, he's intending to shift to the New Haven Affinity location to a hybrid. So I don't know that that's going to be true of, all the medicinal. There are, I believe, I want to say maybe 18 or 20 dispensaries currently.
Talk
I'm
loud
sorry.
so Rod can hear.
I know, I forget
Oh,
that
okay, all
I'm not
right.
being projected here. Yeah, so there's only about 18 to 20 dispensaries, and we know obviously the focus right now is on retail. So I don't know if we'll see, them looking to roll out more dispensaries, at the end of the year, next year maybe. But I just wanted to make sure you want me to proceed with it, knowing that, there's no licenses that are going to be, it appears under the current schedule, going to issue specifically for that.
So we could just leave it alone at this
Well,
point.
I mean, you can pass what you want to pass, and knowing that at some, again, there's every indication that they're going to go back and likely issue more. And I have my own theory as to why that probably is, because I think that there is some concern, as we know, about the traffic that the retail facilities are going to generate initially, especially, when there's not a lot of them. And that's just based upon other states' experiences. So, and I tried to kind of get more information, made a lot of calls to try to get some more specific information for you with regard to time frame. But, I think people felt like they would just be speculating because they really don't know for certain in terms of the people that I reached out to.
Jennifer, is there a time frame that we have to make a decision on this?
Again, we've talked
The end
about
of the
this.
year.
Remember that depending on what type of application you would be faced with, I mean, there's that provision in the statute that indicates
Yeah.
that if somebody came in with a text amendment that, or an application, rather, you'd have to treat it, as the nearest closest use under your current regulations.
Right.
So.
Which would be a liquor
Which is
store.
where we are now.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So what I'm hearing, I understand, essentially saying, why go through all the work of a medical marijuana amendment if they can't get a license for it right now?
Right.
Right? So,
But you could be faced with the claim of somebody saying that, if somebody came in with a retail application, that they
Right.
should be treated like other retailers, So,
And then we could decide how to treat that.
and you don't ultimately know, again, if you don't want a retailer, you don't ultimately know what a court would do with that.
It would be
So-
treated like any other application at that point, right?
Right, it would be up to the
Okay.
commission.
it's not that simple, that's not
It's
exactly
not
what
that,
she's saying.
that's
Okay.
not- Yeah,
She's,
it's complicated.
yeah, it's complicated, but we could certainly take the position that it's not an allowed use, but you're saying that may or may not
That
fly.
they may
with
not
the-
fly.
yeah, exactly.
There was that East Haddam situation, I know that got.
But if you, and I gotta tell you honestly, I'm not so sure that Brian shouldn't be here, because it should be the 5 regular members to be making a decision about it, but if what I was feeling the last time from the majority was that they were gonna say no to a regular retail establishment, that's what I was feeling. So we're gonna be in that same place anyway. If we say no, we're not gonna make a regulation, then we're still, if we affirmatively say we're not making a regulation, we're still subject to somebody coming in and saying it's allowed under your current regs, right? So I don't see there's anything really for us necessarily to do.
I don't think we should do it.
So I did, just going on what you directed last time, I did put together a reg. I did put in it, and this was the other question that I had. I didn't know if you wanted to maybe just take another look at the other cannabis establishment uses and make certain that you don't want to allow any of the others. I did put a prohibition with regard to the remainder, because you seemed to be clear, and I was a little foggy last time because I wasn't feeling well, but you seemed to be clear that you were directing just the medicinal dispensary
Well,
use.
not all of us were directed.
Well,
Well,
Understood.
Can I make something clear to the public that if there ever is a regulation as proposed, there'll be a public hearing on it?
Of
right?
course,
So-
because it would be a text amendment.
Just so everybody knows, there is no, this is a discussion, there is no regulation that has ever yet been proposed. But if of any kind, even if it's medicinal, it would call for a public hearing and public comment to come and tell us what they think about it. I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Rob,
So
do you have any input?
Want me to,
Thanks.
do you want me to do anything for next time? Do you want me to circulate to you what I drafted?
Yeah, that
I
would
see
be
no
good.
reason not to. yeah.
That would be good, yeah.
So you would circulate that, and we would get it to them in a package
Very simple.
within the next,
Yeah.
30 days, okay. And then that would, as Jim said, that would
That would do
get
good.
Brian back in the mix for
Yeah.
what it's worth. Yeah.
Regardless if I agree with them or not.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks,
Jennifer,
Ken.
thank you. Okay, very good. Okay, that being done, can I get an approval for the April 4th minutes?
I make a motion to approve the April 4th minutes.
Second it.
And motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Right. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Okay,
Third.
all in favor?
Aye.
Right. Thank you, Rod.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.